We call the meeting to order at 5:50. We'll start with introductions. Gail?
Dale Baylog.
Marty O'Toole.
Audrey Reedy?
Pat Conway.
Linda Hayes, Director of the COA.
Okay.
We are currently missing Debbie Young, J.P.
No, here's right on time.
And
Just in time.
hello, Dr. Price.
Dave from hell.
Now you can introduce yourself. We just started with
We actually called
introductions.
to order.
Good evening.
Very low key tonight, very low key. Yes, I put that
Low
up
key,
for you to
okay,
have,
huh?
so there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, you already printed, you were good.
Yeah, I got one. Call to order?
You can take over.
It's called to
No,
order, but
whoever's-
we're in the process of introduction.
Whoever's, has everyone been introduced?
Yes.
Okay. Then I guess we can start with the October minutes.
We can.
How are you, Marty?
Good, how are you, sir?
Good, nice to see you. You're going to have a busy night.
Yeah, it's going to be very busy.
Do you think it will be long?
Well,
Are we allowed to?
we'll see.
talk about it?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, it shouldn't be too long. It's a lot of maintenance stuff.
Hello,
But they've been
JD.
on- they've been on-
Hi, good evening.
Welcome.
Good.
You're on a roll, good.
We went through the introduction because this has been recorded for TV, so if you want to introduce yourself.
Get my head.
Don't mind that.
Well, I guess the green light camera, I don't,
Judy, it's up on the corner on the left.
Okay.
sure.
And it's behind you, we're surrounded.
Here comes Debbie.
Okay, so we...
Hello, Debbie.
I think we could have waited a few minutes.
That would have worked.
Oh,
Yes, it is.
Camera's rolling, Debbie. Welcome.
Oh, and we are missing Beth, who did say she would be here, so...
Lucille Sorrentino, somebody
That's
was
right, yeah.
standing in for her.
She was the one we knew about. I knew there was one
Yeah.
I knew about, that's right.
Anyone have any comments or corrections on the minutes, or? Pretty good to me.
Well done, Debbie.
My goodness.
And you've been writing them, correct, not, or have you been using, did you use the video from last meeting?
Well, I've been doing both.
Oh, good. Well, that's good.
Now that I have my iPad, I send you a compliment. Only took me 20 minutes.
All right, I would entertain a motion to accept the minutes from
I
somebody.
make a motion.
Second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Okay. Linda, I guess you have the floor.
It always comes up so fast. All right, hi, everybody, nice to see you. I missed last month's meeting, I missed you, but it was great, so I did get to watch it on video. And I think it was really nice that Q was able to be there, frankly, and give you some of her perspective on what she does, and I think answered some questions for you, which was great.
She has established long-term relationships.
She really has.
She has,
She really
I know
has.
that.
She's
She's
honestly
good at what she
indispensable.
does.
Yeah, she really is.
Very happy to have her. So the big news, I guess, and it has been for a couple of months, but in fact, so a week ago, the postcards were received by many, and really even within 5 days from that, many people have received surveys that I have not.
My neighbor has. Yeah.
Was there a deadline to return them by?
There is.
Uh-huh.
That is November 24th, if I'm not mistaken, those who received it, but that was the word I had. However, just by the time they actually went out, that seems short time. So I was told by the UMass team, just anyone who's even gets them in beyond that, they will wait till the very last minute to incorporate anything into the report. So
Oh, good.
if someone came home, let's say, from being away and still was able to complete it, even if it was after the 24th, into December, we have as included in the report here. So another step in the process will be a focus group that right now, I still have to send out the email, but we're trying to schedule for December 9th. That's the very last step. then the report gets created from following that. The focus group was something that we came up with because some in the group, the working group, that, as Audrey remembers, and JD as well, some of the at-risk seniors who may not be represented in the final report, some of their needs, just wanted to make sure we talked to some of the stakeholders involved with that, fire, police, VNA. I know there's others that I will be, social elder services, so,
Department of Health or something?
Department of Health, the housing.
Yeah, yeah.
So just together with some questions that the team from UMass will pose and discuss, so then that can get incorporated.
Just
which is
as an
great.
aside, somebody came up and really wanted me to give them a questionnaire. I had a hard time making her understand it was a random sample, you know.
That's true.
And somebody else wanted to know exactly where we were located. So all in all,
Where the senior center was located?
Yeah, where's the
That's a-
senior center?
That's a good step.
I told her to get out and introduce herself to you. Yeah, so,
You
Brought a
know,
little awareness.
It
to
really is all good, right, a lot of awareness. So surveys then were, for the most part, hey, if it really must be a small town, because we know so many of the 2,000 recipients, it's really, it was quite a,
My husband filled his out, I believe, and already mailed it back.
I mailed it back and I heard that from a couple of people, so.
How many total did you say, Linda? I know you told
2,000.
2,000.
What kind
From 45 and up households, and they were proportionately distributing those among the age groups, was my understanding.
So we get pretty lucky randomly, because I was thinking, how many people in this room said they got one?
Yes,
yeah.
I agree, that's
and my
fun.
neighbor, who's kind of new to town, got one, and she
That's
thought the questions were
Pretty good when you
great.
think about how many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, she really thought it was good.
What are we expecting for a return on a survey like that?
They talk about 30% as being decent, I'm going for, I hope for more.
I'm hoping for more too, because there's been so much made of it, you know, there's so
Hopefully
much
good
awareness
press.
about it.
I am actually hoping, and I didn't bother her with it this week, but I think next week I will hopefully get onto the town website, the front page, just a reminder and a reinforcement
Great.
that if you did receive the surveys, please complete and return as soon as possible. We need your help.
The age group I'm worried about is the 45 to 60, because they're gonna look at it and say, oh, you know, I'm a spring chicken. Like,
Well, that's especially where the press,
Unless they have parents,
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
you got to think of that.
Yeah.
so that really has been taking a lot of, some of my time, certainly, but we're very happy with it at this point. So upcoming, we do have an information presentation coming to the Senior Center on Thursday, November 20th, so that's next week at 10:30 in the morning. The superintendent of schools and one of the school committee members, or committee chair, Robin Laverne, I think is her name, so they wanted to just inform and field questions by seniors about the middle school project proposal as it comes up for the next special town meeting and the vote. So
Have you
that
been
should be
approved?
useful.
I'm sorry. Have you been approached by anybody from public safety to do the same thing?
I have not been approached, but what I will say is the fire department is doing the SAFE program, and in fact, we did a preliminary one with them back in June, and some of the police force came as well, and they did do a little talking about that, and I assume they will again. So that, in fact, was supposed to be tomorrow, the 14th, and got postponed to next Friday, the 21st. So I imagine as part of that, that stands for, it is fire prevention safety. It's an acronym for something.
I think I got one of those robocalls about.
Yes.
Yes, I got one today too.
Yeah.
The postponement.
Yeah.
We did do that today because it had been postponed by the fire department for next week. But they will probably talk about that then, but that will be informal, and of course, they don't know who's coming to that. Hopefully, we'll have some attendance for that. Otherwise, nothing formal. So I missed the last board meeting because I was at the Mass Council on Aging Annual Conference, which was great for 2 days, along with Laura Manier and Jenny Gervis from Outreach. They both came as well. Always worth it. And the theme for this year's conference was, where do we grow from here? I thought that was very witty. But it just underscores the idea that across the state, it is about senior centers growing and changing, and also managing the growth that's predicted for the population that we'll be serving, and hopefully maintaining the proper programs and services to meet the needs that are coming with the baby boomers and the ones we've already been trying to meet. So it
Where was it held?
It was in Falmouth at the Seacrest Hotel.
Oh, nice.
It alternates, 1 year in Falmouth, which I like.
Yeah.
Didn't have to stay over, which is,
Yeah.
not that it wouldn't be fun staying at
Yeah.
Old Silver Beach. It was
Yeah.
good. But the other year, it's in Sturbridge, which is
No,
a
that's
much
a
longer
haul.
ride. and
That's a hike.
It is a hike, so usually I stay. I am also currently involved myself then in planning for my first budget, which should be a level-funded budget for 2016. So I'm working on goals and objectives for myself. I will review those with the town administrator at the beginning of December. And then, so by the next meeting with us, I can relay those to you.
Great.
She's been very helpful trying to get me situated for doing that. So for programs and activities and events for the last month, again, just the numbers from my senior center, so we're always concerned that we may not be getting quite everyone, but I think we have a lot more people who are scanning and signing in and asking for cards if they don't have them. So the overall number that I get for people attending events at the senior center for the month of October was 550 scans, meaning that's how many people came all together. Unduplicated, that number means 203, more or less, actually walked in the door, whether they came once or they came 5 times. They're only counted once for the unduplicated number. So exercise is up. 193 was September, 223 is October. We still have our art class. In fact, we added a second one, which I may have mentioned at one of the last meetings, so her numbers are up. We're doing a daytime art class and an evening night class on Thursday, so they're both still very well attended, and we're lucky to have Joanne Papandrea doing that. The knitting numbers, they still get together every Thursday afternoon. Garden Club did come in last minute. We had a scheduling snafu, so we only had 6 people, but they are doing one in December. We just haven't set a date, and it didn't get into the newsletter. Just people aren't aware of how far in advance we have to do our schedule to get it into the newsletter, so then they call. And we love that robocall, as you call it. But our voice broadcast system, and people don't really seem to mind. They
I
appreciate the
think it
reminders.
works. I think it works.
I think it's helpful that we can record our own voice.
Yes.
So it's a
yes.
familiar.
I always recognize your voice too.
It's not me, it's Jill.
Oh,
Today it was Jill.
Thank
Yep.
you.
well, not today.
Give
Yeah,
Dale a
today it
go.
wasn't you. It wasn't you today, I know.
Give everyone a turn. Social visits, computer use, people do come in, obviously, those aren't our biggest numbers, but we do have a couple of people who do use our computers just for their own email checking and internet.
I've been wondering, is there any chance we'll ever get a computer teacher again? We had one before, and I think he was in on a grant, and then it was.
You did a good job.
I do see.
Yeah, he did. I mean, I didn't make use of it at that time, but then it was requested that in the newsletter, perhaps a volunteer would step forward to be a computer teacher. Well, of course, that went nowhere fast. Is there any possibility
There
we
is.
could get?
There is absolutely. I do know one, and I'm sure there are others, and she'd probably be willing to come. We only have the 2 public computers, so I haven't really thought there was that, we were that well situated to do it. But frankly, I think the iPads are a little bit more used right now by our population, potentially. So we did try the one intergenerational class at the high school, which actually
Right.
did go well.
I attended that. It was fabulous.
So it was a small number, and we did intend to do that again, so now that school is well underway. First term's probably ended by
Well,
now.
I mean, even if somebody, I just got a brand new iPad, even if somebody could
We could,
come
absolutely.
in, saving trips to Derby Street.
I do know a wonderful teacher, and I think it would be a nominal charge, so we could do that, sure.
It's just a thought,
Good thought.
a selfish thought.
And I think especially with Christmas gifts, probably, if you don't have one now, you might get one for Christmas, so we could do it in January, so that's a great idea. Community education, we did have the health fair, and at least 100 people came in. Of course, being at the other building, we did have people manually sign in if we could catch them, but we didn't get all the names and still have to enter those into the computer. So it's an estimate, but I think it was at least,
I
if
think
not
that
more
was
than 100.
excellent.
It was well done.
And the fair was good. People were happy with
I think so.
the comments afterward.
Well, it was bustling, and it was nice that we had the representative and also the Secretary of Elder Affairs who had come down and added something to it. I was appreciative of that. A lot of good vendors.
People love prizes.
People do love those door prizes, yes. Our Scituate History course, second iteration with Bob Jackman, still 24 people, and people do love that.
It's fabulous.
It really is. I agree, and we're lucky to have him. Our men's breakfast was the assistant harbor master back in October. I didn't add it to the report. November's was Paul Cuxtus, who was the wood carver in Scituate Harbor, and he was great as well. So really, we've been doing very well with getting people. I've said this before, people are so willing and wonderful about coming and sharing their craft or their information or whatever it is. They have been good to us. Cafe Talks, we had the Medicare Part D with the regional director, so that was necessary and happens every year that she comes to us to fill people in on the importance of certain choices that they might need to make. Then we have our Shine counselor volunteer who can facilitate the forms that people need to fill out and maybe help with a search and trying to help them figure out what they need to enroll for with the open enrollment period, which ends in December. So it's a busy time for outreach, for Shine. We had Paul Lawton, a World War II historian, who gave a great presentation on a story regarding a German submarine off the coast of Massachusetts, I think. We had a local author of Raising Scituate Spirits right before Halloween, who had a great attendance for the stories around Scituate with people who have sort of other people living in the house with them. And then we did have a last-minute candidate coffee for those running for selectmen. So all 4 had come, all 4 were wonderful, gave an introduction of themselves, and then also fielded some questions. It ended up lasting easily an hour and 15 minutes, so it was well worth it, I think.
Thank you, Linda, for putting that together. It was kind of short notice.
You are very welcome. And again, we could do it, so it was great. They were willing, and we could manage it, so it was good. Thank you. Usual financial appointment, 1 or 2 a month. I think we only had 1 this month. The legal wasn't quite filled. Shine, of course, he's in 3 or 4 times, in fact, this month, so.
He's booked until.
He is booked until through December.
Right, so he has no appointments left until January.
Doesn't mean we couldn't still help people if they needed it, but he is filled. So just an update on the pickleball, because it's still my initiative, but we're having fun, those that are coming. Lucille, if she was here, could attest to that, because she has come a few times, and we had a great game Monday night, because we could start an hour early. I really wish I could figure out how to have them let us get in just a little bit earlier. They do know we're older, people coming in or out, I should say. And 6 to 7:30 is just a little bit late. 5 to 6:30 was perfect. But anyway, it's growing. We have people coming in who haven't started before, so it actually is growing a bit, so I've been happy with that. And actually also happy with the fact that we do have 1 and have had 2 high school volunteers coming in to help. So they not only set up the nets, which is awesome because they're attached to these weights that you have to roll out from the closet, and the primarily women playing pickleball are great helps as well, but having the boys has been wonderful.
And
so they can
their
really do
community
it.
service.
It is their community service. Well, I will talk about Aiden McDade, who actually decided to volunteer because he was doing a project on conquering a fear. And volunteering and being with people he didn't know was something that he had a hard time with, was not comfortable with, so he decided that this would be his project, illustrative of his project. And you wouldn't know he was shy at all. He plays, he sets up, he picks up, it's wonderful. So we've been happy to have him, lucky to have him. Coming up in December, just in terms of cafe talks, we do have the woman who owns the Roman Table coming on December 3rd to do a talk on her products, her oils and vinegars, which right before Christmas is a good thing, and I have tasted them all. They're really good. And then something else interesting on December 10th, a woman is coming in to talk about Irish mossing, past and present. It's a big Scituate topic. In fact, I hadn't heard of it till I started working here. It makes me feel strange, but I haven't. We did have John Galuzzo come this past week on Wednesday, and he is now the assistant director, I believe, at the Natural Science Center in Norwell, but he had been director of Mass Audubon. He has written 35, 6, 7 books on local history or environmental topics, so he is prolific and can talk about literally almost anything, history or environmental. And in fact, he said at the end, it was like one long sentence, and it was. He started and 55 minutes later finished, but it was like a stream of consciousness the entire time, and it was fabulously interesting on a man known for his life-saving and his family, in fact, back much predating the Coast Guard. So in fact, it was much. So that was interesting. Okay, that is the end of my report. But I can point you then to Manager of Social Services, tongue twister. She is a busy girl, as you know, and I've mentioned that before. A couple of her initiatives, number one, the hoarding task force, which is looking to sort of morph the name a little bit, just so that it's a little more indicative of what they're trying to do. But it is a work in progress. They meet monthly. I am part of it as well, fire chief or the captain. One or two of the police officers, Jenny Gerbis, who is outreach for the COA as well. And they're working on mission statements, how to develop a process for when certain situations are discovered, what would be the procedure for alerting all of the people that either want to or might need to get involved. So it's something that we're working on each month. And emergency preparedness is also something she's working with SANS, going to their meetings and being a part of that, especially as we look at coming into the winter. So we'll be working, of course, with the fire department as well and the police. And there's a lot of stakeholders in that for emergency preparedness, so we will find that out. Jenny Gerbis's report, for outreach. She is fielding, so not only the open enrollment for insurance coverage, which she helps to facilitate and handle with Norm, who is our Shine volunteer, but also fuel assistance, which starts quickly and has already really geared up to almost emergency status for some people as the cold has hit. So she is doing a lot of that. Office meetings, out-of-office meetings, training, and her participation in various programs as well. We are now shorthanded, so the activities volunteer coordinator, Melanie Schneider, who many of you had met. So she left us, just difficult to maintain her schedule, so she did give notice and left. So we will be hiring again. I haven't put it out there. Sheila and Tricia handled that initially, but I'll get a job description to them. So we will be hiring again, but for the time being, we are short-staffed. So that's been noticed just a little bit. But people are helping with coverage, of course. Staff is used to doing that. And the transportation, and Hugh mentions, in summary, that both local and long-distance rides increased in October, and the daily rides went up in September from 426 to October 512. That's significant.
Wow.
Yes.
So she is just, our long-distance transportation may have to become limited per person, so if the same person is riding multiple times a month, that tends to push us over budget. So that's just something, I don't know that has even happened since I've been here. So it is just something that we'll look at and find out why the trend and what needs to change, if anything. But
That's going to be tough. Long-distance transportation may have to be limited per person. I understand why, but I'm just thinking of people that go to doctors and follow up.
exactly, so.
It's going to be difficult.
Some people do regular weekly rides, for instance, dialysis, things like that, that are taken care of on a regular basis, sometimes multiple times a week.
Linda, who are eligible for transportation? So I'm putting out a scenario. This is a 42-year-old person who has disabilities.
Disability, yes.
Are they
Yes.
eligible for
Yes.
transportation?
Mhm.
Okay.
Younger with disabilities,
Mhm.
otherwise over 60 or over
Mhm. Mhm.
for a ride, yes.
Okay.
We take some people who maybe have MS or
Mhm.
other issues
Mhm.
who need rides.
Okay.
Actually, we're having one woman transported from her home to the train to get into Boston for work because she's disabled.
Hmm.
Do that too.
That would be an interesting thing to solicit donations for.
Mhm.
Have a lovely evening.
Take care.
Hopefully you'll get your
Take care.
Wheaties this morning.
Yeah.
We'll be cheering you on.
I'll be in my seat soon.
What you mentioned, fuel assistance, I wonder if we're going to have electricity assistance. You know, I got
Oh,
a
because
notice in
that's
my,
going up.
this month's electric bills, will be prepared for the 37%
Oh, I
increase
know.
in electric bills starting, I think, January 1st or something.
37 or something.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know how they can.
I hadn't heard that number. Wow.
Yeah. And interesting, the rationalization was, we're generating most of our electric power by natural gas. But natural gas is less expensive
Mhm.
than,
I thought it was.
than oil, so I'm not sure, or coal. I'm not
Maybe it's
sure
the cost of mining
why
or
the,
something.
Why the,
Well,
I guess it's been approved by the State Department of whatever, who has to approve electric rates.
It has been approved,
I
and the
believe
last
so.
I heard it was before
I think
then.
someone was going to question it, was going to file a court
Yeah, I didn't think it had been.
brief or
yet.
something, but I think it was approved, so,
That is scary.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
So, you know, I mean, what's a typical electric bill? I don't, my wife pays the bill, so I don't know, $100, $130, $40.
But on the news, they said that the
Depends.
average household across Massachusetts, the average, the bill would go up at least $20 a
Uh-huh,
month. Of
uh-huh.
course, that's, you know, that doesn't, that's average.
So much for your Christmas lights.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
I bet you're right, we will see fewer of
I
those
bet.
outdoor lights.
But that can be a burden.
Sure.
Terrible.
All right, Dale, do you have a, little
Yes,
thing on the food drive?
yeah, in the past, I've run organized food drives at the senior center. So now Linda has approved offering another food drive to the seniors where they can donate non-perishables.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, this is for the Scituate Food Pantry only.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
So, in the past, the food drives were delegated just for the Scituate Food Pantry, and the seniors came through with flying colors. And I'm hoping, you know, for the same, but in any case, they can donate non-perishables, and they need to check the expiration dates on the cans and the boxes, please.
Not reaching the back of the cupboard.
Yeah. And also dish soap, toiletries, paper towels, paper goods. Not only just the food, because
Sure.
they can use these other things as well.
Is
So-
this through Thanksgiving, or is this through Christmas, or?
Well, this one's through Thanksgiving. So Linda mentioned the possibility of running another one, offering another one.
If it works out.
You know, but this one, the last day to donate is Monday, November 24th. And the Scituate Food Pantry is only open on Tuesdays to accept donations and for the people who use it. So I plan to, on that Tuesday morning, bring the items over. And something tells me there's going to be a lot, I can already tell.
That's great.
So my brother, I don't know if he's going to be watching this or not, but I'll incorporate his help to lug it over. And again, it doesn't have to be just Thanksgiving food items. I mean, I was out today having to pick up a couple of cans of yams, but anything at all.
Right.
Because it will be, I don't know if anyone has seen the food pantry, but it's actually a big pantry, it's a big closet at the, what is it, the GAI Hall?
No, it's the Mason
Mason,
Masonic Hall.
Masonic Temple. So they'll probably incorporate the goods that we can donate right into the inventory. Anything related to Thanksgiving, pie filling, et cetera, would probably be a nice touch. But the basics, you know, soups,
Certainly could
anything
last
at
them
all.
through both holidays if necessary, but we
Right.
can do more than one. But people have a chance to
Yeah.
give.
So the seniors in the past, I think I organized maybe 4 or 5 of them, and they came through with flying colors. And I had sore back muscles to prove it.
That was on our voice broadcast today, too.
How is it-
just so
how
they
is
know.
it-
So the
how is it-
boxes are
How is
there.
it promoted in the,
Well, actually, today Linda, well, Jill.
Jill actually said
Linda
the voice
approved it
broadcast, we
going
did a
on
voice
our
broadcast.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I simply announced it, I think, at one of our events this
Mhm.
week. So actually, it's not been that much advertised right now. It's being advertised. That was it.
And there's
So-
so much more, and it really is, there's so much more foot traffic. People coming into the center between the classes and dropping in
There is
the
much.
cafe talks. So I happened to be there yesterday for Bob Jackman's class, and there was at the end of the class, when it broke up, I advised all the people that if they didn't bring something next week, they couldn't get into the class. So, but.
That will do the trick. They love that class.
But that class has about 30 people in it at least.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
It's funny that this particular class is mostly women. I don't know how that happened.
Yes, they're all, that's right. There's only
Interesting.
several men that.
Because I wouldn't say that about all of his unless we've just already,
So these are all new
So many-
people.
And so many people
That's great.
in the class that have, not only they grew up in Scituate, but their parents grew up in Scituate. It's very
I like
interesting.
Right, it's a wealth of information. But there's approximately 30 people that now come to the center that in previous times, I'm not aware were coming to the center. So if a few of them could bring in donations, we're going to have a nice turnout to offer to the food pantry.
people will. We could probably put up some flyers, even.
Yeah.
Village marketer. So thank you. I think we skipped over one thing.
Joan? Oh, yeah. Wasn't trying to. You can have the floor.
Come on up, Joan.
Well, our board meeting was held yesterday, because they're usually on Tuesday, but it was Veterans Day.
Oh, good timing.
And they're doing very well. The South Shore Elderly Services is a leader in the agencies for Twitter and Facebook. So if you want to check on them, they have a lot going on there. They are doing special work and recognitions with veterans. And they knew Quincy Hospital was having problems, but they were really surprised. They weren't told ahead of time that it was closing.
No one was.
I actually hadn't heard.
Employees.
Yeah.
Where have I been? I was born there.
Oh,
Wow.
She is very happy, Sandra, who's the director, is very happy with Scituate, because there's a memorandum of understanding between South Shore Elderly Services and the town of Scituate. And this is the first town that's done this. I'm just going to read the first paragraph about it, and she really thanks Linda and Laura for really working for this. The agreement outlines a relationship between South Shore Elderly Services and Company, Aging Services Assess Point, and area agencies on aging, and the town of Scituate's Council on Aging, and manager of social services, in providing guidelines for effective collaboration for the benefit of the shared consumers of South Shore Elderly Services and residents of the town of Scituate, and explains all the details. Everything is confidential between the two groups, but they're very happy with this happening.
It seems useful.
I want to remind that November 23rd at St. Luke's is the dinner again. That's going to be a ham dinner. And then South Shore Elderly Services has a health and wellness walkathon, which is going to be Sunday, November 16th at South Shore Plaza in Braintree at 9 o'clock. And I have a couple of forms for that. And their big 37th annual meeting and awards ceremony is on Wednesday, November 19th at Lantana's. And that's a big thing.
Are you going to that?
Yes, yeah.
Did Sandra mention the MOU to everyone on the board that you were on, the board of directors?
About this?
About the memo of understanding that you had written?
Oh, yeah,
that she made?
we all get this.
Did she want others to think about doing that with them?
Yeah, but they asked that, but nothing right now is really happening. But
They initiated that.
They're hoping that will happen. They're really doing an awful lot in the media. Of course, now with the new governor, they got to, see what's going to go on. There might be changes, but they've had to expand the facilities because they're doing so much work. Of course, working with the disabled that aren't seniors too.
We
They
do
do-
rely on them when outreach comes across situations that resources are
Yeah.
needed. So they wanted to clarify their role versus what our role might be, or when they would be called in.
It's very good, very extensive. It's really very
Confidentiality
good.
involved in sharing information between the two, or among others who might need it, Board of Health, whatever it might be, so.
And then Beth McCabe is now president of the advisory committee
Okay,
at South Shore Elderly Services.
And Laura Menier, our social services manager, is now on the advisory board.
On the
so that's
advisory
nice.
board, so Scituate is
Mhm.
really involved,
Very good.
which is good.
Good.
Okay.
Thank
Thank you,
you,
John.
Thank you, John.
Mrs. Ball, do you have anything you want to report on the Friends? I know
The
you-
Friends
I know you canceled your meeting. because
canceled
of
our
the,
meeting this week because of Veterans Day.
Yeah,
We're moving onward, we're still working on the 501c3. The gentleman had a few other things he had to come back to us on that we have to give to him, and hopefully by Monday, he will be handing me back the papers for me to send them in. Other than that, we'll have a meeting on December 9th, I think it is our next meeting, and then we'll go from there and see what we're going to do. I have a few things that I've been asked. One is, people are all of a sudden think that the needs assessment is for us to get a new building, and they need to be really informed that it's not for that purpose. The other thing is do you have a group of people that are willing to go to some of the seniors that live in their homes
Mhm.
that, like, trees fall down on their property and they cannot afford to hire somebody? Because on Monday, a week ago Monday, I think it was, I went to deliver to a
Mhm.
senior that lives on First Parish Road.
Mhm.
The trees had pulled her wires down off of her house, and the branches and the whole tree limb was right up to her steps. I did call the fire department finally, because that was,
Right.
but it would be nice that the limb is still there. It would be nice if she's a very quiet woman, keeps to herself, but if somebody could just go in and cut that tree up and get rid of it. I thought maybe a group that volunteers could be formed to help some of those that live in their own houses when they get into this situation.
We don't have that through the senior center, but we do have people who've called to offer their services potentially through some of the churches, for instance. So,
Well, this is something that, as I say, she's a very quiet person.
I think I know.
She didn't even realize the limb was down on her wires.
Mhm.
And it ripped it, right? The wires were still connected, but it ripped the piping and everything right off of her house.
So what does the electric company do?
The electric, I assume they came in, but they didn't come in. They only came in and cut the wires off, cut the
right.
limbs off the wires. But they don't
That's all they'll do.
they go from the pole to the house. And I don't think they do from the house down to the box. I think that has to be done by an electrician. As I say, she didn't know who to call. She was going to call Edison, but I went back and made a call to the police and fire to find out, and they at least went to check to make sure it was safe for her.
If the tree was on town property, the town would be responsible for at least cutting it up.
Right.
If the tree is on her property,
I think that
It's hers.
originally, the last storms, they cut it up for her.
right.
But I'm just wondering if there isn't some way of, if this happens to somebody else. As I say, that limb is still,
Yeah,
In her
right, it's not
yard.
going anywhere until she gets somebody over there.
and she doesn't, I know,
She's not gonna do it.
she has no money for it.
Right,
So tell her.
right.
She wouldn't know how to do it.
And she wouldn't know how to, like, Joe knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Yeah,
I did
and,
that
to be honest with you, looking at her, she's lucky that she's able to live in her own house.
Is this something that a community service?
Kids couldn't do it.
Well, no, it's-
We're talking
Kids
chainsaws.
chainsaw.
Well, that's what I mean, kids with
No.
chainsaws.
No, you can't.
No.
Yeah, the liability of a
If you can get me her
chainsaw is
name,
very scary.
I think I can probably arrange to get it done.
Okay, all right, because, and as it is, my grandson went in and cut her lawn for her
Mhm.
this summer because it was high up. And,
Well, that's something,
it needed to be done. That's a safe thing.
right.
But she is not a person, she's very afraid of, didn't you say of people? So,
Great.
Okay.
unless she knows you.
Get me her name.
Okay.
That's nice.
I think it can
There was
help-
something else, but I've
help
lost
her out.
what else I thought of. A thought of a program for the seniors
Okay.
would be getting the tax assessor, board of assessors to come in
Yes.
and talk about rebates. I'm going to be doing it in my next article. I have gone to him and I've got all the information, but it would be a nice thing,
We will do that, yeah.
you know, to inform them.
Absolutely.
So especially with, there are a lot of seniors that are not going to be able to accept that major increase that are coming in.
There are
And they're
tax
already
abatements.
beginning to panic with the fears that everything's going to go through. So it might be.
We would have the assessor come and talk
Yeah,
about
you might
that.
want to, I know it had been done before, but it might be
Sure.
another.
Yeah, good idea.
Very good idea. And as far as letting people know what the survey is for, I hope the print has done that, but letter has to introduce the report as well when it is published, so hopefully that will help alleviate some of the confusion about what
Well,
it's for.
this is, I just heard this tonight, that people are beginning, they thought it was to get us a new building. They did not realize it was not for that purpose.
Certainly, some of the information would inform the need for the new building,
Yeah.
but it's overall
Yeah.
Yeah.
recognizing what the senior center and the council on aging needs to do.
I think there's a time limit too, if people are going to apply for a rebate on their property tax.
March.
Oh,
I got a
March.
form today. I've got it, the whole thing, all out in detail and everything in
Has it-
March.
Has it changed? Has the date changed at all? Because I was told by someone at the, I believe it was the assessor's office, that it was January or February.
Bye.
The form said March.
Okay.
We will
I got the
probably have him
form
come in
today.
January, so hopefully that's
Um,
sufficient timing.
It was quite, in fact, looking at it, I was floored that you can, if you can't afford to pay your taxes, that you can do a deferred, like a deferred taxes, so when your house sells or when you die, then the taxes can be paid.
Really? That's interesting.
And that's something I had never, the whole, he's got a whole form on it now, and he gave it to me.
Looks like you
so-
could make the presentation too.
No.
Maybe we'll have Steve come.
He should make
There's the tax
presentation.
work-off, senior tax work-off, I don't,
Well, it was
It's limited,
is not
I know.
in there. Plus, I understand there is also, and I don't know what the circuit thing is about.
circuit tax breaker.
Yeah, whatever that is. I don't know what it relates to, but that would be,
That's another one.
yeah, another
There are.
one. I'm not trying to tell you, but these are things that.
Yep.
Okay.
All good information.
Well, I think it's
Thank
good
you.
to clarify the dates, like I said, because I know people that have gone in, and if they went back beyond a certain date, and it was very early in the year.
It's
You know-
all clarified on this form.
Oh, okay.
I'll get
Um,
those. We'll put it in the January newsletter
Okay.
as well as have the assessor come in January, so
You know,
that's
I'm pretty sure he isn't at home, or I'd have him, my husband to pull up the form. But
That's
it is
okay.
right on the top of the form as to.
We can get the information out.
Oh,
It's after taxes, it's after the tax bill goes out.
Mhm.
It doesn't go before the tax bill goes out.
Right.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, sounds great.
Okay. We have any old business to clear up or rehash or?
Well, I just have one thing, and I wish Marty was still here. Like I said one time before at one of the meetings, that there is an issue with the softball field that the men play on, and there have been multiple injuries over the past year. And I haven't had a chance to, because Marty said he was going to look into it.
Did, and we are hoping that by, when would they start again, in March? or
Yes.
April? March, that something would be
April, I
done
think.
To
Yeah.
help smooth out the field, level
Yeah.
the field.
I mean, the men that play have told me that, you know, if there's something done, they're willing to help maintain it.
Right. And they will.
But the way it is now, it's just continually getting worse and worse. There have been hamstring pulls, there have been,
There's a lot of holes.
well, it's not so much the holes, it's just the grade, the
Uneven.
difference, yeah, it's uneven. The outfield is higher than the running area. And all of a sudden, there might be like a 2-inch dip,
Yeah, that's scary.
you know, and, I mean, they're not the only ones that play in the
We asked them
field.
to waive
We're
the
talking about
fee.
Central Field?
Yes,
There are two fields.
yes, it's one of those two fields. And I don't know, they've been paying, I believe they've been paying a fee to the town for the
They
last 2 or
have
3
been.
years.
We asked them to
To
waive
help.
it for this coming year.
You
which
bet.
We did. It
Oh,
just-
did you?
Where is the field?
Central Park, up where Boston Power.
Yeah.
And actually, Marty said he was going to go up and look at the field himself. But there's like a 4-inch between the bases, between the dirt area, the base where you run, and the grassy part where the outfield is, there's a 4-inch difference in the level. So if a ball gets hit and it hits that spot where there's a difference in the level of the ground, it's bounced back and someone can get hit in the face or whatever, and
Have they done anything, or did you just?
no one's done any, I mean.
No, but I meant the people that are playing, have they petitioned the town?
I know the gentleman, I can't think
They
of
have
his
called
name.
him, Paul.
They have called, yes. Yeah, on more
So he
than
is
one
aware of
occasion.
This is the senior softball league.
Yeah, but the seniors aren't the only
Right,
ones that
right,
play on the
but the
field.
reason
I think the
But yeah,
women's, the women's
Just
high school
clarify.
softball team plays there, I believe.
Actually,
Soccer kids.
Yeah, sure they do.
they haven't really complained. It's when I get to talk to them because my husband plays softball. And I talk to them once in a while, and it just came up in conversation. And when I realized the situation, and I know every
We do
time
try to
someone gets
advocate
hurt.
for them.
Mm-hmm.
The
Absolutely.
volunteers take care of really organizing that. I don't have an awful lot to do with it, but if
Yeah.
they have an issue or a need, they
Yeah.
would come to us.
That'd be good.
Well, my thought is, I mean, if the town's going to acquire land, not that it has anything to do with it, and have more fields for, whatever projects come along, well, why don't, these aren't being maintained, what are they going to do with the newer fields, I mean, and I can't imagine the kid, I mean, a parent or
that-
a coach wanting their kid to play on a field like this.
And that's either Department of Public Works or Recreation.
Yeah.
I think they both
Right.
have responsibility.
Yes,
for it.
yeah.
That's their job.
And I just wanted to ask him, what would be the next step if he's
Why
looked
don't you
into it?
just
or-
call them?
Yes, and it
Well,
was-
he lives right next door, and, since he's been, I used to talk to him and see him every single day. Since he's been selectman, I haven't seen him. He's very busy.
I'll follow through on it.
Oh,
make some
that's,
phone calls.
oh, that's great, that's great. Because I know it's
Here?
an
We
issue
have-
that
Mhm.
I
they've
think
been
so.
very humble about it, but
Sure.
I hate to see these guys get injured, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean,
Is there
it's,
someone who's in charge of the league?
you can contact, his last name is Kevin McLaughlin.
Kevin McLaughlin.
McLaughlin,
He's a volunteer.
yeah.
I have the number, so we can talk. And I can-
Okay, all right. All right.
He got a survey, too.
Oh, did he really?
I think just about everybody I know.
It
got
seems
one.
that way.
Myself included.
Love random.
Okay, any other old business? I know we have to keep moving along and get out of here soon. No more new, old business, any new business anyone has?
No.
No.
New business, how is the sign-up going for the holiday, for the Christmas party?
I believe we do have some signups. I hadn't mentioned about the holiday party. We invited Mr. DJ's Hollywood Quiz Show. It should be interesting. He's been calling me for years. I think he does a good program, but I have not used him in the past, so I just thought it sounded lively.
Well, you couldn't sign up before the 10th.
That's right.
That's why I'm
Today's
asking.
only
So
the
it's only-
13th.
yeah.
Right, but that's why I'm asking Linda how it's going. I didn't
I
ask.
have
her
not
for
taken the
total.
calls yet, right?
And the date of that is?
December
17th.
19th. Thank you.
19th.
December 19th.
December 19th, which is a
Okay.
Friday, in fact, Friday afternoon.
Okay.
That is our Christmas holiday celebration.
Okay.
Busy time of year.
Okay? Yeah. Hopefully- And we will take a large number. We'll take easily 55 or 60 people. We've never tried, so we'll see how it goes.
Is that the limited capacity?
You know,
in the
we've only done up to 50,
Well, I thought
but
there were fire laws, but I guess
There are-
I'm,
that's about where
Yeah.
we're at, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if
more than
there's,
It's
merry.
always a good time.
The more
Oh,
the
yeah,
merrier.
oh, absolutely.
For Christmas, we can manage it. We'll just keep the lights down to a minimum.
No candles.
No fire hazards and no electrical lights, because we
All
can't
right.
afford it.
if there's no other new business, I'd entertain a motion to
I make a
adjourn.
motion and need to be adjourned. Second.
All those in favor, all
Awesome.
opposed?
Aye.
Aye, okay, great.
Thank you all for coming.